that quickly. We're getting this from the court as Bilkis Bano case has now come up in the court as Bilkis Bano has filed a review plea against the May order of the Apex Court, which had allowed the Gujarat government to apply the 1992 remission rules against her rapists and get them out of jail. Bilkis Bano has also filed a writ petition challenging the release of the 11 convicts. In fact, Plea has also said that the convicts should not have been released from jail. My colleague Ananya has more details. Ananya, a big development coming in.
Well, remember that this matter has been hanging in the Supreme Court for quite a while and could not be taken up for the last few whiles. And now a fresh development in this matter has taken place where Bilkis Bano has herself approached the topmost court of the country, filing two petitions. One, challenging the remission that has been granted to these 11 convicts. Secondly, a review petition has been filed challenging the May 2022 judgment of the top court, which had asked the Gujarat government to consider the remission under the 1992 policy. So remember that this particular petition that challenges the review, which is a review petition, is a very, very significant one because it has challenged the whole basis on which this whole remission was granted. Because what, in fact, Bilkis Bano says in the petition is that Gujarat is not even the correct jurisdiction to actually deal with this issue because if you remember, when this matter had been there and the trial has taken place, the trial had taken place in Maharashtra. And subsequently, that's the clear reason why Bilkis Bano says that Gujarat is not the correct jurisdiction which should actually decide as to whether a remission should be granted or not, because it is the Maharashtra government which would decide whether there can be a remission that can be granted to these 11 convicts into this particular case. So a very, very big development coming in from the topmost court of the country. The matter was mentioned before the Chief Justice of India's bench today, and he has said that he will see the papers in the evening and will actually list the matter for hearing. So we might expect that a very, very early hearing takes place into this particular case. Two petitions by Bilkis Bano and already two PILs there in the Supreme Court of India with regards to the challenge to this remission being granted to these 11 convicts into this particular case. Because remember, a lot of furor had happened when people were released from the jail on 15th of August. And there was a lot of criticism of the Gujarat government over this particular aspect. And then petitions were filed before the topmost court of the country, challenging this remission that has been granted to these 11 convicts into this particular case. So somewhere or the other, a very, very big move coming in from...
what is the process? How soon can the court now hear it now that the two petitions are before it, if the court and the Chief Justice of India so chooses to fast track it?
Well, the Chief Justice of India is the master of roster if he thinks. And if he wants to, he can list the matter tomorrow itself. But he will see the papers. He will also be also have to consider the board that is there, the list that is already there, because there are already advanced matters that come up before the topmost court of the country, and there are already lined up. But then
I'm really sorry, I'm interrupting you there for a bit. Let me take this across to Zakia Suman, who's now joining us on the broadcast. Ms. Suman, big development that's coming in. We were actually looking forward to something like this, which was very much in the offing. Now it has happened. Bilkis Bano has filed those two review petitions before the Supreme Court of the country.
Yes, really hats off to the courage and the perseverance of Bilkis Bano. And I think all Indians stand in support and solidarity to her. She has undergone horrendous suffering. Grave wrongs have been done to her. She has not only been gang raped, she has been, witness to the massacre of her family members, including her little child. So I think there is no way her rapists and the murderers should be granted remission. And I am quite hopeful that the Supreme Court of India will reverse this decision and send rapists back to the jail where they belong.
And Ms. Suman, the fact that it is a very important development and the timing also becomes very important. We are talking about just a day before Gujarat goes to polls. Do you think this is going to have any sort of an impact there?
Unfortunately, election time is the worst time, worst kind of politicking by the political parties. And I don't think political parties care about the sentiments and emotions, of people. And a lot of politics has been played in the name of the remission to rapists of Bilkis. And now it's already, we are going to cast the votes. Votes are going to be cast tomorrow.
Yes.
So I'm sure that every right-minded citizen who is a voter, every citizen who believes in safety and security and justice for women will be influenced by this. So we have hope from the citizens of India, really, and the courts, the Supreme Court and the High Courts. I'm not sure how much we can hope from the political parties. They will not change, but it is we, the people of India, particularly the women and men of India, that we demand, kind of probity in public life.
All right. Ms. Suman, I'd request to stay on with me. I am also now joined by Ashwini Dubey, who's a Supreme Court lawyer, who's with us on the broadcast. So the fact that this is a very important development that's coming in from the apex court of the country, we are looking forward to the Chief Justice of India quickly looking at this case, because this was much talked about. And ever since that remission was granted and the 11 convicts were released from prison, there was a big question mark raised on governance. Even Bilkis Bano had come out and said just as much.
Yes, that's true. Look, the remission was granted on the basis of 1992 policy, which says that if a convict has undergone the particular period which has been given in the CRPC, then he should be given benefit. But there's a reservation. The caveat was to the aspect that it should not be given in a case which will have a far-reaching impact in the society.
Yes.
Keeping in view the grievous these injuries caused to Bilkis Bano and the nature of the offence, there were many concerns were raised. And in fact, activists approached to the Supreme Court. So prime concern was that the objection was taken by the respondents, and they said that whether those persons who earlier approached to the Supreme Court are the genuine persons or they are affected. Then now the Bilkis Bano has approached to the Supreme Court. So there are two pleas. One plea filed by the aggrieved person, that is the Bilkis Bano herself, and the other filed by certain activists. So now Honorable Supreme Court will examine this. But the moot question remains is whether the benefit of the remission should be given on
Ashwini, I'd like to stop you for a moment. Yeah. Ashwini, I'd like to stop you for a moment. I have a question for you, and I would also like to introduce Mrs. Swapnil Kothari, who's joining us also here. Mr. Dubey, first of all, a question to you, a very persistent question, because there is a review that has come into this case, and the whole basis on which this remission was actually granted, the May 2020 judgment of Justice Ajay Rastogi. Do you think that there could be a ripple effect of this review petition, and there could be some kind of a relief that could be granted to Bilkis Bano, because now she has herself approached the particular court in this context?
Yes, see, look, the Supreme Court is the custodian of the Constitution. Even the Supreme Court always talks about the protect the fundamental rights of the individual. Be it the case where the remission is to be granted judiciously to the person, or be it the case where the remission has been granted based on the political appeasement or based on the religious basis or any other basis. It differs from the case to case. So here, by filing the review petition herself, she has approached the Supreme Court saying that the remission which has been granted in an exceptional case, which is the case which will be having a far-reaching impact on the society, because Bilkis Bano was, at the court has convicted them when court found that she was raped and her child was murdered. This is a 5-year-old child. This is the case. Now the question herein is the remission, which is given on the basis of a policy, and remission which was given by virtue of the Supreme Court judgment, whether Supreme Court will look into that aspect, because the Supreme Court on the one hand also sees that you cannot deprive on one's right to come out if he has undergone the certain years and has undergone certain years inside the prison. So these things has to be examined, and this will set a precedent in the benchmark which will be followed in years to come. So that has to be seen, and that since the Bilkis Bano has also approached, because she is the person agreed, so now Supreme Court will examine on that aspect.
All right, Mr. Dubey, stay on with us. We have Swapnil Kothari also joining us on the broadcast. Swapnil, first of all, what would you say about this development that is coming in from the apex court of the country, and also the fact that, this entire remission rule of 1992 was brought into the discourse, much talked about, but the serious implications was also something that was discussed back then when this entire remission was granted and the convicts came out of prison. What would you say about this development now?
Yeah, good morning. The point is, the Supreme Court will have to re-examine this afresh. Forget the public sentiment, forget the media hue and cry. It shocks the conscience not only of the nation but also of Bilkis Bano, her near and dear ones, that she had undergone such a trial, should I say, of mind, body and soul. And to say that the people have been released or ordered a remission itself is shocking. Now the remission rules, revisitation is a separate aspect. Here the Supreme Court will have to primarily decide as to why the remission was granted, one. And if need be, that there has to be some sort of a reinvestigation of the case. Because that is something which may come into the mind of the Supreme Court when it may say that, look, this person, these people were convicted, these people were at the end of the day, given a remission as per the rules and the procedure. Is there a flaw in our mechanism or in the judgment of the court where something was overlooked? Because why do you say that we cannot give remission to these 11 convicts? How is it that these 11 people are any different from the others whom we do give remission or parole or a furlough on a regular basis, or should I say on a periodical basis? Regular may not be the right word. So on a periodical basis, which we do. So what is it that, why is it flawed? Is it as flawed as it was when Sanjay Dutt was given a remission or a furlough at that time and there was a big hue and cry at that time? So what was it? So is it as bad as that or is it worse than that? So the Chief Justice will have to examine this, and more importantly, he will have to see to it that he accommodates this case as fast as possible, given the very tight and the busy muster of the Supreme Court that he's tried to, Mr. Chandrachud has come in, with a great amount of enthusiasm to see to it that the bail applications and everything is heard. A lot of constitutional issues are heard, all of those things. So he's set up a timetable as far as his tenure is concerned. So I hope that he takes this case a little bit favorably, looks at it a little bit more with a jaundiced eye,
right.
Should I say more so favorably, and brings it up.
So
that is the